as I contemplate a billion stars, leaving my hands to fate. That's all I've got, all I've got. In the summertime, I won't have no water. Oh, wait, it's a little bit harder to leaving my hands to fade, all up to fade. I wonder why. Ooh, I wonder why. Time for a change. Time for a change. Time for a
If you've listened to the first chapter and you've applied some of the ideas brought forth, by now you should be able to see your healing process in action. My aim, no matter what may be placed in front of you, is to always bring out the divine in you. How you choose to deal with your trials and tribulations is another matter entirely. And as you get closer to the core of who you really are, the more clarity you have, the better you will be able to deal with anything. The definition of clarity: clearness in various senses, the condition of being clean and free of contaminants. Absolute clarity is one of God's grandest attributes. For you to have it too will require a crystal clear intention, a lifelong commitment of your spirit, mind, and body, your feelings, thoughts, and actions, constantly working to dislodge and discard all the beliefs that block your clarity's light. Every time you employ discipline and dedication, you will be getting closer to God at a conscious level. Here's an excellent way to begin the clarity process. Go over the dreams you had while you were resting. As you start to interpret these mind movies, how you feel about them will let you know whether you are clear. Simply. Then you will know how to adjust your visualizations so you can intentfully plan the way you wish your day to go. Your clear intent and positive attitude will set the tone, and the day you desire will unfold before you. It's all about what you focus on throughout your day and how you perceive what is happening. And I strongly suggest that you stay in acceptance, allowance, and appreciation mode. For that, in addition to anything else you may be doing, will keep any fogginess from entering into your consciousness or block your vision. It's all about tweaking that vibration. It's all about jostling yourself if you have to, reinvent yourself, tweak, watch the results, tweak, watch the results, curate your day as you truly desire. Each evening, just before you go to sleep, think about what did not align with your morning's visualizations and be grateful, again, gratitude, appreciation for all that did. Then ask for the clarity to fine-tune your prayers and intentions so that tomorrow will be a better day. Hopefully, your best day. We have always had creative power, but what has kept us from maximizing it is the mind clutter, all that useless stuff that we store in our gray matter. Why not look at the creative process like this? You are a movie projector, and God is the light inside. As you sit in the theater of life, what movie is playing on that 3D screen of yours? Is it a horror flick? If so, you must change the film.
In a beautiful world, unconditional love would do the influencing, for it is the most effective way I know to create the peace that you seek.
The simple fact is that, conscious of it or not, you are the producer and director of your own movie, and any sad or unfinished scene in it will only become more difficult to wrap if you do not take responsibility for its content. Is your life playing out the way you want it to? If not, the only way to get it to go the way you truly desire is to do the work necessary and get clear about it. That's the crux of it. No more, no less. Neither good nor bad. Your life is the movie you make. Do you sometimes get frustrated because things do not seem to work out the way you've intended? I will tell you this. You have gotten and are getting exactly what you have intended. With whatever degree of clarity you have intended. Even if someone does not make a choice, still a choice is made. The choice to remain complacent. If you truly wish to bring perpetual love into your daily life, becoming pure is imperative. Only then can Spirit lift you higher, so that the dive from your ego into Spirit's arms will be a graceful one. Once your clarification and elevation begin to accelerate, people will recognize that you are living with more joy. I've seen this so many times in my life, and that will be your confirmation of the work that you have been doing on yourself. But do not be in such a hurry. Where you are now is a normal part of the process. The goal is not the goal. Remember this. The goal is not the goal. The journey is. The journey is the goal. The journey is the now moment. It keeps you in present power. It is the place you need to be to create your life deliberately. If you focus on the future, you will lose the power of the here now in this present moment. Every aspirant on a spiritual path goes through this phase of not being able to tell for sure when the ego is dominating, but your not knowing says it loud and clear. The ego is still in charge. Yes, even though knowing is your natural state, people still sometimes depend on the ego for answers it is incapable of providing. You see, since the ego can never communicate with spirit, it will always insist that it is you who is the incapable one. When it does that, doubt begins to creep in, and you stray away from being the deliberate creator that you so want to be. I'm asking you to ease into your life, relax into your life, and Spirit will provide you with what the ego cannot. Open, accept, and be clear, and know. Then your life will speak for itself. People sometimes tell me how they judge the lack of progress. What you must know is that the universe knows no lack, and believe it or not, what you may regard as lack is actually progress. Everything always moves forward. Just because someone may not see evidence of this is evidence to the universe that they are still in progress process. If you happen to be one of these people, don't be so hard on yourself. Just give yourself some grace. Give yourself some breathing room. Appreciate, love yourself. Bit by bit or by leaps and bounds, the clarity that comes to you will benefit not only you alone, but the people around you and in the world as well, all of whom can use as much healing as you will be able to offer.
You are being guided now in small steps you can manage. In due course, love will expand into your lives until you are consumed by love and become love, and in love, merge as one with God, who is love itself.
Does it happen from my first and tell our minds, think of the heart. Does it matter why we're here? Should we love without fear? Sometimes at the times we're most afraid is when we love and when we pray.
Through this book, as well as many others, it has been established that love is all there is and there is nothing else. I will now explain to you how the mechanisms of love sustain the whole universal system. The universe rests upon the divine principles of clarity and love, which form the light grid through which spirit travels. These two principles allow the divine to be omnipresent. The good news is that you can hitch a ride with spirit if you elect to abstain from your earthly bad habits and make that abstinence part of your routine. For starters, change your diet by eating less and by staying away from fast foods and cured meats. Include more fresh fruits and vegetables in your menus. Before long, you will be amazed at the added energy you have. Besides being prone to eating poorly, maybe you have taken on other bad habits along the way, like dabbling in lots of things from the outside world that may have provided you with that quick fix, those quick thrills. But they have not satisfied you, because if they had, you would have not returned for a second and third and fourth helping. Even now, anytime that you want some of that immediate gratification, your mind is more than willing to remind you of all the things that will give it to you. With cigarettes, for example, you smoke one after the other because the mind has convinced you that doing so will bring you some satisfaction. Pay attention to what's really going on, because every unhealthy habit or addiction you keep hold of only affirms that you intend to stay within the limits of earthbound reality. With each attempt to give up these vices, you take another step towards the clarity that will finally let your higher self settle into place. I tell you yet again that there is so much abundance within you, but how can you expect to see that abundance when you are not clear? Understand that your frustration has thrown your mind into ego overdrive, and that, combined with your feelings of need, makes you think that you must get while the getting is good. This is the way the world seems to operate, doesn't it? But it's not only individuals. There are many like-minded corporations that refuse to let go of their need and greed to possess and monopolize. This is the primary reason our planet's health has gotten so poor. And if these people are allowed to continue, their ongoing abuse will hasten the Earth's dying and death. What can we do to stop this from happening? Well, the clearer everyone gets, the more effective we will become at removing the parasitic energy, because we will be using our own God-given power, that which is inside of us. It's been there since birth, for eons of time. We will all use that God-given power to correct the seemingly irreversible damage that has been done. Everyone must change from poverty thinking to prosperity thinking. When that happens, we will each become a channel for the abundance to return. It will radiate outward and help heal the planet. Once everyone looks upon God as the infinite repository of wisdom and wealth, the world's spiritual revolution, resolution, and evolution will begin, and our lack will end. When I was writing the divine principle, what came to me in the form of a question in that moment was, "You mean there will be no more starving people in the world?" And Spirit said to me, "No, I mean you will no longer see these people as starving, but as nourished. It is that very shift in perception that will compel you to do what is next in sequential order. Feed the world." See, lack is our point of view. It's not Spirit's. And that point of view is the cause of all of our quandaries. Why the world has not addressed the hunger problem aggressively baffles me. There are these programs out there that are feeding the world, but yet is the hunger in the world completely gone? No. Then what we have done was attempt to feed the world, and we think that we have done enough. And it seems the world worships the almighty dollar instead of the almighty within that can provide the world with everything it could possibly need. Many people are so caught up in their life's drama that all they know themselves to be must die in order for love, trust, and clarity to be born, in order that they may live. As long as you continue helping others and keep striving for clarity, you will one day be able to tap into the power that will let you manifest a body to live in whenever you want. Look around. Can you see how everyone must come to clarity before the chaos can be dissipated? The more of us that take part in this process of clarity and cleansing, the more we will be able to influence the time-space coordinate of when our ascension takes place. It will take many of us to remove the chaotic energy, because if we keep feeding our addictions, we will deprive ourselves of spirit, and our fear and confusion will be all that remain. You may ask a very simple question. Why is peace so difficult for us to get to? Many people do not know what peace looks like because they make no effort at all to familiarize themselves with it. It cannot be said enough. It takes love, trust, and clarity to live the peace that lies within us. This is your moment. For lifetime after lifetime, Spirit has watched you work diligently so that you can be here now, preparing for the grandest time in history. Do not take your life for granted, lucky one, because there are many souls who still await the chance you have been given, human birth.
Finding ways to be one, to live as one, to be one, to be one with love.
Making one of 100 million pieces, making one of each and every heart, giving one love like you really mean it, seeing one in each other every day. Loving one is how to get to heaven. Sharing one, the love that you are. Hearing one, that little voice inside. Being one with all the people. Teaching one all the children about love. Finding one, your own peaceful heart. Causing one to feel peace too. And that's the way. And that's the way to be one.
Clarity and love are the building blocks that give the universe its form and maintain its integrity. They are the code and law you must follow to become aware of Spirit's omniscience, a reality that is only accessible to those who are no longer within shouting or whispering distance of the ego's voice. Infinite possibilities reside within you now. Can you see them? Can you hear them? Can you feel them? You may say, I see, hear, and feel much, but through it all, I still get confused. Well, you will be glad to know that whenever you get confused, there is a way for you to become clear. How, you may ask? By doing just that, by asking God how. The clarity you seek will come through when you repeatedly think of God and invoke His name, any name you desire, whatever your faith may be. Whenever you have concerns, just invoke the name of God over and over and over. Make it your mantra. Everyone must go through the process of turning inward and fine-tuning yourself before that light can emerge. And you already have observed moments in your life when you've had clarity, and every time that you've had that, there was this knowing, and you have broken through, and you have had glimpses of a higher calling, of a higher vision, of a higher reality, of a higher experience, of a higher feeling. And though you may not have been able to make sense of these glimpses or these images, the deepest part of you knew that you were in some sort of order. This has happened to me many times. It may have happened to you as well. Often, when I would seem to get these flashes of what seemed to be my future, and somehow I knew that my life was surely going to that particular parallel experience or reality. And I remember, and maybe you do as well, how tough it can be to put these experiences, these feelings into words. You may wonder, why is that? It's likely because the experience is mine or yours and ours alone. And whenever we have such an experience, and this goes for our life in general, what we must try to do is remove any beliefs from what we think is happening. We must take care not to ground ourselves in what we think is going on, because that will only lock us into it. It'll keep us fixed and static into that experience. And I think we should toss the images around as much as we must. And I would invite you to do so. But know that any restrictions, such as our beliefs, our fears, will only inhibit us and keep us in that non-elevation state. One night years ago, when I was asleep, I had an incredible spiritual experience that filled me with the most amazing bliss. At least for a moment, I felt that I was without belief, that I was able to touch my soul. But though I've had these moments often in my life that felt like nirvana, I never claimed to have finally found spirit, because I think this would only block me from a grander experience. Instead, I continue to look for the deepest meaning in every reality. And as I do, I notice a powerful shift in my thoughts and my feelings, a shift that I feel even more of that higher self ecstasy when I'm awake. As I turn inward and I do this energetic dance, I find that my mind is more frequently filled with thoughts that somehow do not seem to belong to me. And this is what I've experienced when I wrote the Divine Principle. It seemed like this information was coming from me, but at a place that I was not aware of. And the energy as it would move through me was just laced with this amazing feeling of bliss and spiritual love. And it's like I was beginning to unify with a higher mind or a higher intention. And you as well have been growing your omniscient psychic abilities. We're all growing. And so with that, our intuitive abilities grow as well. And it seems like that with this gift, life is getting much easier. You've had the experience many times. You think of a song while you're riding in your automobile, you turn on the radio, and bang, there it is. Most people say, that's just coincidence. Or is it? Well, a coincidence is when two events are coinciding, coincidence. And so there is a link there to something, be it deja vu, before or after. When did the experience actually occur? Are you remembering something that was supposed to happen in the future, or did you create it, and so forth and so on? Take it from me, making contact with spirit will enable you to hear guidance. In turn, what that will do for you is it will take miles off of your spiritual journey toward divine consciousness. But you must be careful not to become euphoric over the idea that everything you hear is guidance. Because when you make these kinds of psychic shifts, you must be careful not to reinstate the ego into your decision making. You may ask, Keith, how do I discern between the guidance and the thoughts that I wish were true, and how to keep myself from falling into that mighty trap of uncertainty again and again? Your goal should be to keep it simple, because your frustration when you do not will cancel any headway you will make. In times of uncertainty, just show gratitude for the clarity you already have and call upon Spirit to help you dissolve all your doubt. I touched on this early in the chapter, and now I will explain on what I have already said. Ask yourself this important question. Is this true guidance or just something my ego is projecting? If you're asking such a question in the first place, you have already gotten your answer from spirit. Whatever it is, it's not spirit. I'm not implying that guidance will not lead you to what you desire. What I'm saying is that as you work to develop your psychic abilities, your ego will be working just as hard to convince you that its voice is the voice of guidance and the only one that you should be listening to. That darned ego will always try to throw a monkey wrench into your machine, hoping to keep you from your happiness. So pay close attention to who is doing the talking. I know. Sometimes it feels like you're losing your mind. Well, I hope so. Let me explain. It's the mind. The mind is the root of all the blocks and problems. It contains way too much stuff in there that serves no purpose whatsoever. So you must be willing to lose your mind. Purge it thoroughly so that until what you know as mind is lost. Since you are beginning your psychic development, your omniscient development, I know this may be confusing to you, but if you're patient and persevere in your spiritual practice, all will blossom in its proper season. Just continue to be on the lookout for synchronicity in your life, for that will let you know for sure when your guides are the ones seeking your attention. Remember, growing the psychic abilities is not the goal. The goal is God, God, God. The abilities are a gift that Spirit grants so that in time they can become a powerful tool for you to be able to create your life. I want you to know that I have complete faith that you will pull through this transition.
There's a love that we've been given. Here's a place that's meant to be. Only you can see me coming. Come and be with me. Come and be with me. Ain't no time for indecision. Set yourself free, yeah, yeah. After all that we've been given, what will it take to see? What will it take to see? Is it love that we've been given? Can you hear what you feel? Is it love that you're after? If it's real or real.
It's not the practices, props, and other superstitions everyone has been accustomed to when worshiping that will lift you higher towards conscious union. It is your sincerity. And believe it or not, as you develop your levels of spiritual mastery, you will no longer even need to pray. How can this possibly be, you may say? Well, up until now, we have depended upon prayer because our divine forces have been latent. However, when you have your own love power, you will have the will to accomplish for yourselves what many of us have always called upon God to do. By all means, continue to use your rituals if they help you to fall into a meditative state, a spiritual space or zone. And if it helps you stay humble, then by all means, stay in prayer. I mean, prayer is a very, very humbling experience. It makes us available inside so spirit can come in and seat itself. But I assure you that one day our need for these types of rituals will disappear completely. And meanwhile, just continue being sincere, for that is what will hasten the ego's demise. We have it much, much easier now than the spiritual beings who sought enlightenment before us. We have the power of the awakening many, and that power, properly channeled, can propel all of us right into the divine. The ones who've reached enlightenment long ago had to overcome by themselves, mind you, the pull of many dark forces, but they did it. Great ones such as Moses, Buddha, Christ have all lit the divine lamp of love to illuminate the path for us. Each time teachers such as these achieve an advanced state of omniscience, omnipotence, and omnipresence, there is a potent burst of energy that gets to release upon the lower strata. If you study scripture, you will see that it points to other divine comings, indicating that teachers of this magnitude have not yet finished visiting the earth. And because of these teachers, the world can be lifted out of darkness and human elevation can be made possible. And since we are no different from these masters, not only is it possible for each of us to reach their level in our lifetime, it is our duty. But do not be fooled into thinking that all you need to do is process a little here and process a little there, and boom, you are God. Granted, your pure and genuine intent is important, but there's much to iron out before you can become divine consciousness. For example, you must still work on the karmic patterns from both your past lives and your current life's past. You do that by doing what I recommend, by expanding the love within you until you consciously reach the level that is God. If you are wanting to get higher, I suggest that you finalize many aspects of your life. Be aware of any fear that may be causing you to resist the changes that are taking place. Understand that change is inevitable. Just wait and see. In this time period that we're living in, change is going to be all about us. It's going to be everywhere in ways we couldn't have imagined. So understand that the more you close the old doors of your life, the more the new ones will open for you. All you can do is prepare yourself for what may lie ahead. The clearer you become by doing self-work, the fewer fears will crop up, and no matter what door you find yourself approaching, you will begin to recognize it for the opportunity it is. Indeed, as the path you are seeking begins to announce itself with more and more certainty, you will not feel comfortable unless you walk it. You already know this. This search you have embarked upon pulls at your heartstrings. It nudges you to keep moving forward towards God's peace. I've heard people often ask, what if I'm not on the right path? Well, this is a common worry for most spiritual aspirants. But the truth is that no one can ever get off of the path that is meant for him or her. If someone feels they have strayed, this concern of theirs will put them right back on it. Here is the path. Just stay in the present moment at all times. It is this awareness of the now that will keep you from being caught off guard by events that, in the past, would have caused you to react. It's not accurate to think that you can deviate from your life's design. The fact is that not recognizing the path is actually part of your path. No matter what road we take, our lives are in God's hands. But when we worry and try to control our life, it's as if we are yanking it out of God's hands, insinuating that He cannot do the job well enough. And if that's our position, I assure you there will come a day when we will wish that we had trusted in spirit or a higher self from the very beginning. I know it's such a challenge to let go of our wants, our ego wants, the things that we feel we need to be fulfilled. And if you feel such a way, you're not alone. Many that think they know what will give them peace, but yet, even when they get what they think will do it, it turns out that peace is not a permanent part of the package. And so the question becomes, why is peace so difficult for people to reach? Well, because somehow all of our wanting has managed to divert us away from the self-fulfillment that is inside of us. Let me ask you this. How many times have you thought that what you wanted was never going to show up, only to hear this whisper into your consciousness, maybe, like as if God was speaking to you, saying, here it is? We must understand that there are differences between passions and desires and wants and having to haves. We must really begin to understand between wants and desires. And even though it sounds like semantics, truly it's not. It's a vibrational difference. I know this may sound contradictory, but it's not. Because wants are having to have energies and desires are, God, you are the peace in my life, and if it is your will, this would be nice energies. When you believe the former will bring you peace rather than God, who is peace itself, you negate any chance that your desires will be fulfilled. When you choose God as the primary force and focus in your life, all things move toward you, not only because of the magnetic light that you radiate, but because within God all things exist. As soon as you allow Spirit to take up full-time residence in both your mind and heart, you will flourish.
Hanging on the wall of doubt till you walk by. Something happened inside my heart when you walk by. You know I never knew love. What did I dream of until you walk by? Until you walk by. Till you walk by.
Now, to true faith. When you achieve absolute clarity, you will have it. And along with it will come the power you need to manifest an ideal life. Faith, clarity, and power, three facets of the loom of life, working together to weave all of creation. These three cannot be separated lest all cease to be. Their immutable threads spin a tapestry of conscious awareness that becomes a divine garment for all to don. Do you see the glorious pattern I'm constructing here? It's all about unity. Yes, it's the mighty power of all working together to benefit the all, to bring about change. It should not be hard for anyone to see that 2 is mightier than 1, 3 is mightier than 2, 4 is mightier than 3, to the infinity that is God. 1. Faith not only describes belief in a particular religion, it also conveys one's hope for a particular outcome. Those who assume that results will come through blind faith cannot see how the power to manifest only springs from absolute knowing. Yet they are willing to gamble that their expectations will pay off, that they will hit life's jackpot without realizing that they have nothing at all to back up their bet. A believer hopes that his or her life will happen. A knower makes it happen by having the faith-supported gumption to go about living it. For some people, belief can be a crutch for laziness. But if you wanted to, belief can easily become a catalyst to expand you into absolute knowing. Faith can also be applied to the principle of believing in something higher than you. This is but a metaphor, because there is nothing higher than you. Many people will say, this sounds like blasphemy. I know that pondering such a thought may frighten many and may put religious leaders in a state of God panic. So to these particular individuals, I ask, how can such a beautiful thought about the divine nature of all generate such fear? Probably because we were always taught that we are less than divine beings, for example, like Jesus. But just because you were told you were inferior does not mean that you are, for God has created nothing above or below another. God does not separate nor favor anything, nor is he opposed to anything. If God operated this way, he would not be the unity that he is. To clear up this long-held misconception, it is the purpose for this audiobook. That is, to help you to see all things through the eyes of love. So how clear is God's state of being? I asked this question of Spirit at this point when I was writing the Divine Principle, and this is the answer that came through. Simply divine. So crystal clear is my vision that everywhere I look, all I see is me. I am not the Supreme Being. I am Supreme Being. And my beingness permeates everything in creation like light moving through glass. From my mind, all information passes through fiber optic light branches to manifest everything, everywhere, all at once, illuminating me as the source of all that is. By purifying that within you which remains clouded and constricted by fear, you too will come to see and be in this state. Clarity. Call upon God in times of confusion. Love is the power. Love is all there is. Allow and accept yourself and all people. Raise your vibrations by living the truths. Intend to marry your God self completely. Trust that all things will unfold accordingly. To you, it's all about you. Where there is clarity, there is peace.